Hey Lupine Laners, it's Mr. Carl again, back in the kitchen. Hope you guys are having a great day so far. Today we're going to be making some pizza dough. We make this a couple times during the month. We definitely love it. And of course, you guys love it so much, so we thought we'd share this with you. Okay, so pizza dough recipe should be in your email box by now. First thing we're gonna start with is our active ingredients, the things that make our dough rise, okay? So we're gonna start with a little bit of the yeast and a little bit of sugar, and those guys are gonna mix together, and then we're gonna pour some water on top of that. And then what that's gonna do is make those yeast cells go around and start looking for all of those sugars, and they eat up the sugars, and they eat up the sugars. And then what do they do sometimes? Like whenever we eat a little bit too much, sometimes we burp. And what they're gonna do is start creating gases, and those gases are gonna build up, and that's what you see whenever bread starts to rise. All those little tiny yeast burps. It's kind of fun, right? Science, right? Here we go, let's get started. So, I have our mixing bowl, and we are going to start with adding a little bit of, we'll start with our yeast first. So I'm gonna get a teaspoon of yeast, put it right there in our bowl. We are also going to use a little bit of sugar. So that's another teaspoon of sugar right there. Hope y'all are seeing that okay. There we go. How about that? And then we are gonna add our warm water. So this is not like scalding hot, and it's definitely not lukewarm. It's somewhere right in the middle, somewhere you can still handle it. But what that's gonna do is just waken up everything. And I'm gonna give this a little bit of a stir, just so that we mix everything in. We wanna make sure that everything gets activated and broken up and ready to start chomping each other down, okay? Mix, 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 mix. Remember to pause this at any time when you need to, but it looks like it's pretty well mixed in. Yeah, I think so. All right, so I'm gonna set that aside just for a little bit. And while we wait for our yeast to start rising, we are gonna work on our dry ingredients. So I've already gotten our flour ready. All right, so this is 1 cup of flour. And we are also gonna add a little bit of salt. I'm gonna use this pink Himalayan salt because it's gonna come out really nice. It doesn't break down as easy also, and it just kind of sticks around in the thing. And we're gonna mix that around a little bit, mix it, mix it, mix it. You can use your hands, you can use a spoon, whatever you have. Absolutely. And then, let's see. All right, so while that is going, we are going to wait for the yeast. Now, what I've done is I've already gone ahead and prepared a little premix of the yeast, and I think that you guys can see what's going on in here. You can start seeing that there's a lot of bubbles and stuff that's starting to build up. So it's got a little head on top of it, just a little bit like that, just some bubbles and everything like that, and that means it's already started to be activated. It looks a little different from our first mix. I think you can kind of see the difference there, hopefully. Anyway. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna mix in a little bit of our brown sugar. I've already pre-mixed some of the, here we go. And just like that, I think this is gonna make our dough really, really sweet. And not all the time do we use this brown sugar, but I think you guys are gonna really enjoy this, especially whenever you're at home right now. All right, let that sit for a second. And then what I'm gonna do, and just because in the interest of time, we're gonna go ahead and start to mix everything. Normally, I think what's the best to do is let this sit for at least another 10 minutes, let it start to bubble up a little bit more. But we're just gonna go ahead and add it all together. So actually, I'm gonna transfer this all into a bigger bowl. Should have started in that bigger bowl, but that's okay. No big deal. And then we are going to mix all of this together. Like that. Now we can use our whisk, and hopefully it won't stick too much to the side, but you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and add my olive oil in there. That way we know it's gonna be a nice and wet dough. So I have all my olive oil ready to go. Let's see. A little bit of olive oil. All right, now we're gonna get mixing. We can use our whisk again, I think, for this. It may get a little too sticky, but that's okay. All right, so I've noticed that, yeah, whisk is not working out so well. So I'm gonna just go ahead and get all this out. Should have grabbed the spoon before I got started, but that's okay. It's part of cooking, right? We're learning as we go. Especially part of being young. You gotta learn as you go, and sometimes you don't know. All right, let me grab another spoon over here. Sorry, I'm doing this all off camera. My bad. All right, I'm gonna start mixing all this up. Mix and mix and mix and mix. Mix and mix and mix and mix. So, once I know it's all good and mixed, I'm gonna knead the dough a little bit. Kneading, spelled K-N-E-A-D, not N-E-E-D. What we're gonna do is we're gonna knead this just a little bit. If I see any, like some of these bigger pieces of brown sugar, I'm also gonna take those out because those will break down very well. So I'm just gonna knead this up for just a little bit. I don't need to do it a lot because we've got a little bit more work to do, and we're gonna have to do that off camera together. Some more brown sugar, look at that. Should have broken that down a little bit. You know what the good thing to do is also dissolve that brown sugar in a little bit of water beforehand. I'm sorry I didn't think about that before, but here we are. Okay, so this should be good enough for at least one decent sized pizza because this little ball is actually gonna grow to at least twice its size right now. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna place it back in the bowl. What I'd like to do is if you still have some olive oil or maybe some kind of an oil spray or something, you're gonna spray the bowl or grease the bowl. You maybe even use butter if you want to, that's fine too. And we're gonna place it right back down in there. And then we're gonna cover it with a cotton cloth, not terry cloth or anything else. We just wanna use cotton for this because it allows it to breathe a little bit and it also seals it in really well. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna let this rise for at least 30 minutes. And what I want you to do is start to check on it, like maybe every 10 minutes or so, and then you can kind of tell like how big it's gonna get. So this is gonna be growing and growing. And whenever we, about 30 minutes or maybe an hour later, what we'll do is we'll beat it down a little bit more. So we'll knead it down. So it'll get a little bigger, and we wanna make sure that we get it down, back in the bowl. What that's doing is just stressing out the yeast and then letting it settle again. And the best thing to do is leave this dough in the refrigerator overnight, if you can. If you wanna just go ahead and make it, then at least wait that 30 minutes, maybe even an hour to see how big it will get. It just depends on how you like it, honestly. And then what you'll do is you will roll it out. So I've got my rolling pin ready, even though I'm not quite ready with my dough. I'm gonna roll it out. And then what I like to do before we get it into the oven is give it a little bit, like poke some holes in it. So I had this handy dandy little pizza, I don't know, actually I don't know what it's called, but we poked the little holes in there. What you could do is use a little fork and just go along the way. That way you don't have these bubbles don't form inside of the dough and you have to pop them down. And then what I like to do is pre-bake this for at least 10 minutes on about 450. So you want to get your oven pretty hot. And then you can back it down to like 350. You can add all your toppings. So if you're making your own marinara sauce or if you already have something pre-bought, cheese or vegetables or none of that stuff, you can just go with the marinara. That's fine too. And then just let it all bubble up and you're done. Pretty simple, right? All right, I hope you enjoy it. If you have some pictures or some videos to send, maybe you can send those back and we can all share them together and say, look what we did at home. That'd be kind of cool. Anyway, I hope you had a good one and we will see you real soon, okay?